Hey, Carol here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be making 5 more cards, which makes 15 in all from the February Simon Says Stamp card kit. So the first one I'm going to make has 3 hearts in it, and 2 of them are in craft. Well, I didn't film it, and so when I went back to redo it, I was out of craft paper altogether. So I found something that had a little craft in it, and I'm stamping on it, and I'm going to show you I'm using one with the embossing ink, and it is clear, but what it does is it makes the paper a little bit darker. So this is the stamp I'm using, this heart with flowers in it, and I did one with the embossing ink. This one I'm going to put the bird on top of the heart and stamp it with the black ink from VersaFine, Onyx Black. And one of them I had done earlier, I stamped the heart first and then went back and stamped the bird on top. And I'm just showing how I go back and cut out between his legs so that the paper will show through. I just literally cut through the top of his leg, go in and cut out the center, and then put him back together. I don't cut him apart all the way. And so then I'm going to stamp the sentiment on this one. And I'm going to use the one that says love you always, but I'm going to cut out and cut off the always and use it only. I stamped 2 there just as a backup, and I'm going to start cutting very roughly around the always, leaving some white edges, just curving around all the ups and downs of the word. And I'm going to show first, before I actually cut it out, I went with some neutral ink and a makeup sponge and just kind of went over the top to cut back a little bit on that white and make it a little more vintage looking. At least that's what I had in my mind, and I think it works. And then when I cut the word out, I go around the edge also of the word and try to knock off that white edge of the paper and to give it a more finished look. That's what I'm doing there. So all of these pieces, if I cut this one out, it's the same thing, just whichever way you would rather do it. Stamp them separately and glue them together, or just stamp them all at one time and cut them out all at one time. But that'll show you kind of the difference. These are the ones with the black ink. Now I go around all my pieces, almost all of my pieces, with the neutral ink, and I won't bore you with that, but that just I wanted to show you that part of the process. That's what I do, even around the pink. And just to make them stand out, I'm using the the Mono Multi Glue from Tombow. And I wanted to show you how that ink gets darker, or the print that it makes gets darker. Now this one I used with the white pigment ink on the heart. So I'm going to show you the difference between the embossing ink, which is clear, and the white ink. There's a difference, and I think they're both pretty, so I thought I'd use them both. Now we're going to put the card together now with the black striped paper, one of my favorites in the kit. On top of the hot pink, it's called Doll Pink in this kit. It comes in the kit. The strip of craft, the white heart in the embossed heart, and I'm just showing the measurements on this card. And then put in the black and white heart with the bird on top. Down at the bottom, I'm going to put a sentiment, just off-centered, asymmetrical, a little strip of the craft, then white backed with black, and then there's that word always. I wanted it to be simple. I wanted the emphasis to be on the hearts, and so I liked the way it turned out. I mean, I think it's just a really neat looking card. So I hope you enjoyed that. I backed it with the white back there. You could definitely do that if you wanted another layer. Now the next card, I'm going to stamp the little hearts that are in this kit. There are a few, and I'm using a real red ink, and I'm going to go around the edges of this rectangle. And then there are 3 little bitty hearts, and I put them together in a cluster, and I'm stamping them off. And you'll see in a minute I go all the way around the edges. Now with this Onyx Black ink, I'm going to stamp off the cluster of flowers and then the individual single flower, and onto some scrap paper actually, because I'm going to cut it out. And I'm showing you there is that heart again with the flowers in it. And I'm embossing again, but this time on black paper, and I am actually going to use the embossing powder. Now this is some that came in the kit. It is clear. I didn't use the embossing buddy this time. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then heating this up, you will see it melt, and it's to the point that you almost can't see it except for the glossiness of it. I'm going to do the same thing with the musical notes, the bottom stamp on that page, but this time I'm using some white embossing powder from my stash. Now I'm going to start to put it together. I'm putting the Tombow glue, setting it aside to dry, because as I've said so many times, once it's dry, then it is repositionable. And I just want to show that I cut these flowers out, put the glue on them, and now we're going to put the card together. The hearts in red, the black sheet of paper with the embossing on it, the strip of musical notes with the white embossing, heat embossing, and then the 2 sets of flowers that I stamped and cut out. Now I'm backing it with a slightly larger piece of red, which makes this a little larger card. I don't think it would even quite fit in a 5x7 envelope. You would probably have to go on up to an 8x10. But I wanted you to see, if you could, the gloss on that black embossing. And I will try to lift it up for you, but it's a simple card, but I think pretty. And there you can kind of see that gloss and that glare, and it's just a little different and eye-catching, I think. Now the next card is using pattern paper, a couple of pieces of solid from my stash. I just could see the brown going with that, and this cranberry color, and that's what I wanted to go with. So I've cut these pieces out. I'm just showing how I put them down and how I stamped the same thing that I've stamped so many times, Love You Always, but I wanted to show you how I did it, and then cut out around it. This time I used all 3 words instead of just always, and I will go around these again with the ink, with the neutral ink, not to belabor that point, but just to show you that is what I do. And so I'll just cut that short, flip it over, put on the Tombow Mono Multi Glue, and let it dry. And that's just the process. If I left it out, I wouldn't be showing you exactly how I made the card. So, and again, I'm going to go back with this one and color it in a little bit and make it more vintage looking. Now, this card is a pretty typical A6 card, 4 1/2 by 6 1/4. And I'm putting down the brown. I have a mark over there you can see with a white pencil where to put the cranberry, and it's offset from the pattern paper. I kind of like the asymmetrical look. Then the print paper, you'll see it better up close in a minute, and then another strip of another paper, and I chose it because it kind of goes with the little picture you'll see in a minute. It's kind of oh, I don't know, kind of elegant, dressy looking. I don't know what else to call it. But here it goes down the dark, the cranberry, and then you'll see this little picture there that says, "You stole my heart." And I just think elegant, kind of almost brocade look paper over there goes well with that. And then putting the Love You Always on there. It's a simple card, but I think it's pretty, and I like all these colors together. And So again, as I've said so many times, these do not have to be Valentine's. Now I wanted to show you this does fit in an A6 envelope, and it's easy to mail. So Valentine or anniversary or just I love you to a birthday person. So now more pattern papers, and this is using the hot pink doll pink, and I'm going around the edges again, and then I stamped off. I'm not showing you because I've already done it, but with the sticky embossing ink. And I thought the glitter, I wanted to use glitter, and I thought it would just stick right away to this embossing ink, but I think maybe I just let it dry too much. Maybe I waited too long. Some of the glitter did stick, but I just went back with the Tombow glue and just kind of retraced the design that's in that heart, and then used this really good unicorn glitter that's in the kit, and it's just really fine and has a really good glitter and dazzle to it, and I really like it. So there's the card. Again, pretty much an A6, 4.5 by 6 1/4. Putting down the doll pink cardstock, then the vintage looking paper, a strip of black at the top. And this is just for outline, because then I'm going to put the pink lumber paper, another one of my favorites, and then another strip, kind of an offset T shape, and this is where I'm going to mount the glitter hearts. And in a minute I'll hold it up closer to you and you can see the shine in that glitter. Now in the upper box I wanted to just put something else to fill that in, but something besides just sentiment. So this little piece of paper was in the kit, and it shows musical notes. It's one of those like cutaway piece of little pictures that you can use, and a heart that I cut out and went around the edges to that's out of the cotton candy pink, and went around the edges to make it kind of stand out. Then the white piece to put my always on, I was playing around with exactly where I wanted to put it. I just decided to go sideways, be different, and that is the way that one turned out, again with the always having all the neutral ink on it. Really darkened it up. So we have fine glitter, and we have lumber, and we have the word always and flowers. So I like it. I think it's a little bit different, and the heart up there. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now we're coming down. This is another A6 card in white. I'm using the cranberry again from my stash because it seems to go so well with these pattern papers. I'm leaving the white space down at the bottom because I'm putting down now that strip of black that I heat embossed with the musical notes, and I hope you can see that. I will show it a little bit better to you in a minute, but there they are, glistening and shining. Now again, just to show you what I did, the ink, and then I'm putting down the pattern paper so there's just a tiny edge of the colored cardstock showing behind it. Going to do another one of the little pieces of paper, cutaway picture on top of these. Going to stack them and layer them, and this time put them at an angle. This little card is so cute. It has the musical notes and flowers, and it says Love's Old Sweet Song. So I wanted to show you I did something a little different. I used the cluster of flowers, but this one didn't print off all the way, as you can see, but I decided to use it to my advantage because I want to put this bird up above it, as you can see there, but I didn't want his feet just stuck in all these flowers. I wanted that little white space around there, so I decided to make use of this mistake, and I went around with the pen there and just drew in some kind of straight up and down shade lines, really, and cut out. I took another one that I had stamped that was perfectly fine to use, but I wanted something different, so I cut out little bits and pieces of the good one, and that gave me the eyesight or the sight line there to know where to put it. I glued these little pieces down, cut them up, trimmed them whatever way they fit best, and then put them around his little feet so that his feet would at least show up. And it was just different kind of experimenting, and we can make use of a lot of our things. They don't have to be perfect, right? So, and be useful. So I decided to go ahead and mount him and raise him up a little bit off the paper, make him stand out a little bit. There are different things to catch your eye on this card, and so I wanted him to kind of stand out. And then I wanted to show you another way I was going that I thought I might use was to color this cluster of flowers, and then to color the bird a different color. Well, I went from blue to red, but I went back to the original, just using the black and white with the blue bird. And then these little pink cotton candy flowers, and I used the Martha Stewart punch to get me started, but I thought those hearts were too big. They were too big for what I wanted them for. So I just cut them down and kept cutting them down until I got a size that I wanted for that particular heart. Those are my scraps. I just want to show you what got cut away. This one ended up being kind of small. I went around the edges. They just needed that little bit of edging to make them stand out. It's such a pale pink. And then this one I cut down really small, just so they wouldn't all three be the same size. And, played with it, fiddled with it to see exactly where it seemed to fit in best around the bird. And so you just keep playing with things until you come up with something you like. And there's certainly always a lot of options. That's just fine. That's the way it works. So that is that card. I will be showing some still shots here of each one of these cards. I hope you like them and can find maybe one to make. This is 15 cards out of one kit, and so it's very versatile. At the end of this, there will be some more videos that you might like to see, maybe of the other parts 1 and 2. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. See you then. Bye-bye.